The wind whistled through the trees, scattering leaves across the park. In the midst of the swirling chaos, a young boy struggled to fly his kite, battling against gusts that threatened to snatch it from his grip. "Enjoy your envious gaze," she taunted me over the phone, though she laughed as if it were all a big joke. "But I'm not that cruel, so I'll spare you. Why don't you hide in the bathroom? It might be less awkward for you." Her laughter echoed in my ear as she mocked me, and I could hardly stand it. This woman was the one person I despised the most in the world. No, in the entire universe. 13 years ago, she had stolen my husband away from me. Cutting ties with her proved nearly impossible since, unfortunately, this woman was my biological sister. As I held the phone to my ear, I chuckled softly after she hung up. "My name is Ruth, a 37-year-old divorcee. My marriage crumbled within 6 months, all thanks to my conniving sister. My identical twin, Rachel, and I look so much alike that even longtime friends sometimes confuse us. However, our personalities are complete opposites. I'm more reserved and introspective, while Rachel is assertive and often takes the lead. In academics, I excelled. Rachel shone in sports. She tends to blurt out whatever she thinks, saying things like, 'How can you wear such unstylish clothes?' People might think I'm not stylish either, since we're twins. That would be awful. Our strained relationship extends beyond home. Back in our school days, Rachel would bring trouble my way. I often faced harassment from other girls on my walk home. 'Stop hitting on my boyfriend,' they would yell, even though I didn't know them. 'Not again, Rachel,' I'd mutter. Whenever Rachel found someone she was interested in, she would steal him away, even if he already had a girlfriend. While the men were to blame too, Rachel's behavior was far worse. I, often mistaken for her, became an unwitting victim. Once Rachel got the guy, she'd lose interest, sometimes breaking up with him in a week. It was unreal. 'Rachel, you need to stop this nonsense. Have you ever thought about how the other girls feel? And how I'm suffering too?' I asked her once. Her response was dismissive. 'Jealous women are scary. Your boyfriend John is so dull. I doubt he'll cheat on you. Don't worry, he's not my type. He's not even attractive.' The man she spoke of was my despicable ex-husband, John, who had left me without a second thought 13 years ago. We had grown close attending the same tutoring center. He was quiet, putting me at ease. His mother was a renowned fortune teller who ran a well-known fortune-telling house. We graduated from the same university and married 2 years later. I thought we'd spend our lives together, but 6 months into our marriage, John handed me divorce papers and said, 'Please divorce me. I can't take it anymore.' And I'm sure you know why." Sitting beside him was my sister Rachel, with a smug look on her face. Stunned, I stammered, I'm sorry." "I don't understand," I said. "Did I do something wrong?" "I don't remember anything." John slammed his fist on the desk, making me jump. "Really? You have the audacity to say that?" he shouted. "You've been cheating on me. Can you deny it after seeing this?" He pointed at the pictures spread across the desk. They showed a man and a woman entering a hotel together. My heart raced as I stared at them, but my confusion only deepened. It looked like my sister Rachel was the woman in the photos, not me. No, I protested. "That's Rachel, not me." Just then, Rachel burst into tears, sobbing dramatically. "Stop this. I can't keep lying to John anymore." John turned to Rachel with a soft expression. "It's okay, Rachel. Thank you for telling me." I was shocked as John spun a fabricated story. He claimed I had been cheating and disguising myself as Rachel to avoid getting caught. According to him, I spent my spare time at a hotel with another man and borrowed my sister's clothes to cover my tracks. He completely bought into Rachel's lies. "Rachel told me about your terrible track record with men," John accused. "Even when we were dating, she said you were fooling around with other guys." I tried to stay calm as I responded to my angry ex-husband. "John, are you serious? We've been together for years, and you believe a story from Rachel, whom you've known for only 6 months. Are you thinking straight?" John just glared at me in silence, seething with anger. To my dismay, Rachel took the opportunity to cozy up to John. "Despite your identical faces, your personalities couldn't be more different," John said. "Rachel always listens to my problems with patience and kindness. Maybe I married the wrong sister." Rachel's fake tears kept flowing, but I could see the sly grin on her face. She'd always had a way with men, even back when we were students, but as she got older, she shifted her focus. Now, she prioritized status and wealth over looks, and John, my ex-husband, who worked at a major corporation and came from a well-off family, was a perfect target for her. She must have set her sights on him the moment I introduced him at our wedding. John had fallen for Rachel's charade completely, and I never imagined he could be so naive after all our years together. My feelings for him faded quickly. "You two are despicable," I told them. "Do whatever you want, but don't ever show your faces around me again." I held back my tears and filled out the divorce papers on the spot, throwing them at the two of them. Knowing my conniving sister, they probably hadn't yet started a physical relationship, so pursuing compensation seemed futile. Still, if it meant having them out of my life for good, I didn't care about the money anymore. Returning to my parents' house, I found them furious at my sister's actions, and they disowned her. When she heard about it, she was indifferent. "Oh really? I don't care," she said. "But if you're having money troubles, you'll be the ones begging me for help." "Okay, bye then." She treated even her own parents dismissively. I found out from a friend that my ex-husband and my sister married just 3 months later. I was too stunned to cry. I felt nothing. For the next 13 years, I never saw my sister or her husband. But one day, I got a call from an unknown number. I always answered for work, so I picked up, only to hear, "Hello, Ruth." I recognized the voice immediately. "I can't believe you have the nerve to call me Rachel," I said. Rachel chuckled. "Still holding a grudge? You're so gloomy, Ruth. Anyway, I have a favor to ask." With no remorse, she continued, "I'm pregnant. Of course, John's the father." "Ha, I thought you might want to tell our parents about their first grandchild since they won't listen to me." She had the audacity to order me around like that. "What are you so cheerful about when you've been disowned?" I shot back, but she just laughed it off. "How long do you think it's been?" 13 years. "I think you're the only one still holding a grudge," Rachel said with a smirk. "You're probably still living with our parents, right? I'll be the one giving them a grandchild instead of you." She had a talent for getting under my skin. "I'd love to see your envious face, but I'll spare you because it's too pitiful. Why don't you go hide in the bathroom when I come over?" she added with a loud laugh. I stayed silent as she spoke, and she hung up abruptly after saying she'd visit on the weekend. I kept the phone to my ear for a moment and chuckled at the absurdity of it all. That weekend, as I relaxed in the backyard, my phone rang. The caller ID was blocked, and I knew it was probably my sister. "Hey, unblock me already," I snapped. "Why would I unblock someone I don't want to hear from?" I shot back. "That's the point of blocking calls. Maybe you don't understand because you're too dense." I laughed sarcastically as something crashed on her hand. "I've come all this way, and no one's home." "I told you I'd come today, didn't I?" Rachel shouted, clearly irate. "Huh, you were serious. I thought you were joking," I replied. "Besides, you hung up before I could tell you I don't live there anymore." Judging by her shaky, enraged voice, it seemed she was standing in front of our old family home, unaware that none of us lived there anymore. The commotion she was causing would likely disturb the neighbors, so I gave her my current address and hung up. About an hour later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a sullen-faced Rachel and my ex-husband John. "You've got some nerve," she snapped. "And what is this place? Why on earth are you living in such a nice apartment?" Her eyes were bloodshot with anger as she glared at me. I understood her shock. My apartment was relatively new, located in a great neighborhood, and not cheap. It wasn't a luxury high-rise, but it was a decent property, and her irritation was evident. Ignoring the fuming Rachel, I turned my attention to John and asked, "Is there something I can help you with?" I told them, "The neighbors won't appreciate all this noise. Why don't you come inside?" As I led them into the living room, Rachel seemed surprised by the room's spaciousness. Her frustration was obvious, and I couldn't help but smirk at her reaction. My mother, who I lived with, was sitting on the couch silently observing Rachel. "Well, you said you had something to discuss," I said, feigning politeness. "I don't mind at all, but if I'm in the way, should I hide in the bathroom or something?" I added with a sarcastic edge. Rachel snapped back, "Never mind, I'm good." She moved closer to our mother and greeted her nervously. "Hi, Ma. Long time no see. I'm pregnant, so we were hoping to talk about whether John and I can stay here for a while." At my sister's audacious request, I nearly burst out laughing. "Wait, you want me to live with you too?" No way. Have you forgotten what you did to me in the past? Absolutely not. Rachel interrupted. Ruth, just shut up. This house is still under Dad's name, right? You can't get remarried and you're still leeching off our parents. How pathetic for a single woman like you. Then she added with a smug grin, great job taking care of our folks. From now on, John and I will live here and take care of them. So can you leave? Oh, where's Dad? Is he at work? Seeing my sister's arrogance pushed me to my limit, but it was our mother who spoke first after listening quietly. Dad's gone. He passed away. Mom spoke those words softly, and the room fell silent. My parents had always taken my side during my divorce, even though it was Rachel's fault. My father, in particular, used to apologize to me, blaming himself for not raising Rachel better. I'm sorry, Ruth, he would say. It might be my fault. His regret deepened over time, and he struggled to keep working. Both of my parents were in their early 50s back then, and we were getting by on my income and Mom's part-time job. Later, Dad was diagnosed with cancer and passed away 10 years ago. Before he died, he said, "Don't tell Rachel anything. If she comes to my funeral, I don't think I'll make it to heaven." I said, echoing my father's words. Mom and I had not contacted my sister Rachel since then. We moved into this house 5 years ago after Mom injured her leg from overworking. Renovating the old house would have been too costly, and since it was built on a hill, it would have been difficult for Mom to navigate. Living in this more accessible home has helped her legs heal significantly. I tried to speak calmly, but the thought of Dad's passing brought me close to tears. I could see that Mom felt the same, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But Rachel's response was predictably dismissive. Too little, too late. Besides, Dad's illness wasn't my fault. You're living in this nice place now thanks to Dad's inheritance, right? Where's my share? Don't I have a right to inherit? Rachel spoke her nonsense without hesitation. Mom immediately shot back. Inheritance? There's no such thing. You only came to us when you got in trouble for your reckless behavior. How many times did we pay alimony because you had an affair with a married man? Live with you? Never. Don't be ridiculous. It was the first time both Rachel and I had seen Mom so infuriated. Sensing the tension, Rachel fell silent, and then John, who had been sitting quietly, finally spoke. Rachel, you've been deceiving me, haven't you? Since I married you, my life's been a mess. You're a reckless spender, and you never do any housework. I've met some guys who graduated from the same high school as you, and they all told me I was blind to marry you. I nearly burst out laughing at my ex-husband's words. It was impressive that he had endured 13 years with Rachel. Yet when he approached me and said, "Ruth, I've been regretting our divorce. Do you want to start over and let bygones be bygones?" I felt a chill run down my spine. No way. He had no right to suggest that. Just as I was about to dodge his attempt to touch me, the door to the next room swung open. "Could you not touch her with your dirty hands, please?" A man suddenly appeared, taking both Rachel and John by surprise. Ignoring my sister, I focused on the newcomer. As the man spoke, Rachel and John exchanged puzzled glances. "Who is he?" they murmured. "I told you to stay out of this," I said to the man, trying to shield him from the conflict. "I couldn't stand by when he tried to touch you, Ruth," he said firmly. "Besides, having a third party might help the discussion. Don't you agree?" Fine, I relented. "This is my husband, Alex, and this is our son, Tommy." I called out to our 8-year-old son, Tommy, who had been peeking from behind the door. He must have overheard the commotion because he was glaring at Rachel and John. Rachel was stunned. "You're remarried?" she exclaimed, disbelief coloring her voice. John seemed just as shocked, his mouth hanging open. "Yes, I'm remarried," I said, a touch of sarcasm in my tone. "It's been 13 years, plenty of time for me to move on and build a new life. And yet, you two don't seem to have changed at all, except maybe looking older." Their faces turned bright red at my remarks. I met Alex shortly after my father passed away. We were colleagues, and one day he asked me out. When I declined, citing my divorce, he simply replied, "Does being divorced mean you can't remarry?" and asked me out again. We got married a year later, and Tommy was born the following year. Alex has always treated my mother with kindness, and he's supportive of us all living together. His own parents, who live with his brother and sister-in-law, have welcomed me into their family. It was Alex who suggested moving to our current home, knowing my mother's mobility was an issue at our previous house. His thoughtfulness has made our lives much easier. I turned to the two stunned individuals. My mother and I are living our lives here. Can you not disrupt our peace? And Rachel, you mentioned you were pregnant. How far along are you? Their flustered responses made me suspect Rachel was lying about her pregnancy. I remembered my brief 6-month marriage to John and how I never got pregnant, which was a source of irritation for my former mother-in-law. If Rachel wasn't actually pregnant, it would explain her connection with that ill-tempered woman. Unnerved by the harsh looks from my family, Rachel and John quickly left our house. Once they were gone, Alex shook his head. I mean, I've heard stories, but is she really your sister? She looks like you, but her character is completely different. Yes, she's my sister, I said with a bitter smile, but it seems things are settled for now. Later that evening, the doorbell rang incessantly. I looked at the monitor and sighed, knowing who it must be. When I opened the door, I found Rachel and John with pale faces on their knees. We need help. Can you lend us some money? They pleaded. Alex looked puzzled, but my mother and I shared a knowing glance. Earlier in the day, while waiting for a call from Rachel, Mom had received a call from a friend of my deceased father, who currently rents our old home. The friend and his family live there now, and he told us how he returned home to find the garden's flower buds destroyed and the windows cracked. The security footage showed a man and a woman, with the woman stomping on the flower beds and throwing stones at the windows. My enraged sister, Rachel. When Mom gave Rachel's contact info to Dad's friend, he was furious to learn this was the daughter who had tormented our father for years. The damaged garden contained rare flowers that were difficult to grow, so they demanded compensation. Given their apparent financial struggles and housing difficulties, I expected them to show up again. But I was still surprised they turned up that very day. Their audacity was truly astounding. I'll give you some money, but on one condition, I said as I watched Rachel and John trudge away with slumped shoulders. Seeing them leave, I couldn't help but laugh and think, serves you right. In their hands was the written agreement I had them sign, promising they would never approach me again in exchange for my financial help. Despite the vow, Rachel is still my sister by blood, so it's hard to fully sever ties. I know there may come a time when she will try to use legal means to approach me again. When that happens, I'm ready to fight back using the audio recordings I secretly made 13 years ago, which I now have as evidence. I have no intention of forgiving my sister and her husband anytime soon. A friend later told me that my ex-husband John had resigned from the large corporation shortly after our divorce and began working at my former mother-in-law's fortune-telling establishment. Given their family connection, he was paid a high salary, allowing him and Rachel to live in luxury. However, a few months ago, my former mother-in-law passed away unexpectedly, leaving John without his mentor. With no talent for fortune-telling, he tried to take over her business, but the establishment quickly failed. In their desperation, the couple claimed that a bracelet was a cherished creation of the late mother-in-law and targeted her loyal customers. A whistleblower exposed their deception, and the victims banded together. The couple found themselves overwhelmed by the backlash, and with no place to live or work, they came to me for help. Their audacity was beyond irritating. Given that the police are now investigating them, it's only a matter of time before they face the consequences of their actions. Meanwhile, we moved to a new home due to my husband Alex's job transfer. Can I really come with you? Mom asked hesitantly. Alex chuckled. Of course you can. You're an important part of our family, Mother. Even if you resist, I'll carry you over my shoulder and take you with us. Mom, hearing Alex's light-hearted joke, wiped away tears of gratitude. Grandma, you're crying again. Here, have a tissue, Tony said, offering her a tissue. As I watched my family together, I was filled with gratitude for the happiness I had found.